If you've been into relationship development, masculine and feminine development, you would have heard about masculine and feminine energies and how important they are to relationships. Men are to be grounded, stable, be like a lighthouse, and lead the relationship. And the feminine is the ever changing emotions, and she is the storm. Men need to weather the storm. Maybe you've heard of that message. Really, do we really need to weather the storm? So I don't know about you, but that statement can be and keeps men probably in harmful relationships. So in this episode, I'm going to discover and look at the dark side of masculine and feminine energy that enables toxic relationships. Welcome to the Nice Guy Show. I'm your host, Faisal Kokar, and I'm joined with Ari and Chuck. And we are both, well, three of us are nice guy recovery specialists. Now, when it comes to masculine and feminine, when I first heard about this concept, it was after my breakup. Because when you're in pain, you're in trouble, you want to find out what are all the things that went wrong. And one of the things I discovered was the reason that I lost, say, attraction in the relationship, the reason that why there was a lot of frustration in the relationship was because there was lack of leadership. In other words, there was lack of me being turning up like a mature man who knows what he wants, knows how to get it, where she didn't feel like she had to manage me. Now, also, the problem is, but when you learn about masculine and feminine energies, and there's lots of dating coaches out there, there's lots of social media about masculine and feminine energies, that we kind of like just see like this is the solution, this is the way to do something. But there are two sides to everything. No matter how thin you slice it, there are two sides to it. And also, what I'm saying is there's lots of messages about masculine and feminine being like, this is the only solution to fix your relationship problems. But there's one message I have a problem with. It's the message of men need to be the lighthouse, and the feminine is the emotions, and she will be the storm. And the men have to be grounded and take that storm. So, do men really need to take the storm? It sounds very one sided, don't you think? Ari.
Yeah, I think that one of the issues you and I have talked about is just that this can be sort of a license for women to act immature and men to not not check them on it, or not challenge them. I think that that's one of the problems with the masculine feminine energy framework. If you're not looking at it in a nuanced way, that there's still ways that women who are feminine energy people need to show up, in order to be in a healthy relationship. So I think that's one of the issues with the framework. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. What about you, Chuck?
Well, I think, yeah, that's sort of similar. I think that the masculine feminine framework works really well when you have two relatively healthy individuals. Oftentimes, you'll have sort of a caricature of either the masculine feminine in a relationship. You'll have a really alpha dog dominating, you know, big lughead on one end, and then you'll have a chaotic borderline woman who's has no sense of control within herself. And I think that those two things, like, it's like they have to bring their own energies down before they can work together. So I think a lot of it is that there is a part of it where, yeah, you have to be able to weather the storm. And part of weathering the storm is setting boundaries. And setting the boundaries is part of the leadership, which is creating the container, which the feminine energy exists within. So if you're not doing all of those things and you're just taking it all the time and waiting for her to, calm down, or the storm to calm down, then yeah, that's not really healthy, because it's really about taking all of the aspects of the masculine framework and energy and the feminine framework and energy in a relatively healthy relationship. That's when it works best.
What about the aspect of, the polarity is turned, or sometimes the guys are thinking, well, why do I have to be in the masculine all the time? I work and I'm making decisions, I'm leading, I'm setting the container, I'm always doing all of the masculine things. When I come home, I just want to sit down and relax. I don't have to want to lead, set everything up again like I'm at work again.
Well, and I think, again, this is when we get sort of myopic and black and white of like, I have to do this or I have to do this, you know. And in the framework, and in the framework that Robert uses, in the higher self, the masculine and feminine, there's a flow between these two energies, right? So we're both masculine in energy internally, and then also as it relates in our relationships. So I'm constantly in a state of masculine feminine flow. The way I usually describe it is I am right-handed dominant and I have a left hand. I can do things with my right hand better than I can do them with my left hand. So dominantly masculine, and then I have a feminine side to me. It's when these two work together and create a flow state, that's when it works best. So it's a similar kind of thing in your relationship of one of you has to be in the masculine, one of you has to be in the feminine. And if the man is always in the feminine and the woman is always in the masculine, then you have reverse polarity. What you want to have is a balance, a healthy balance of masculine, feminine energy. So you're not always going to be in the masculine when you're with a woman. There's going to be times, but if you're always letting her be in, or forcing her to be in the masculine, then she's going to get tired of that because that's not her dominant hand, so to speak. And that's when she's going to start complaining.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And as even as a masculine, you've got to attend to your feminine side. You got to fill that bucket. So part of your job in structuring the relationship is making the time for that for yourself to get some downtime, to get some relaxation in, just to get some pleasure in. Yeah, so that's something that you have to also provide for yourself, or even ask for it from your partner.
This is similar to the right hand, left hand analogy. If you never used your left hand, your right-handed dominant, and you always use your right hand, so you broke your left arm or something like that, it would get really tiring after a while. You need to have both of those things working together.
But nice guys just want to relax afterwards and like, wow, I've been using my right hand all the time. Now I want to use my left hand. And she's going, well, I need that container. So there's a lot of
I think you can switch hands.
When I'm working with the guys, they really sometimes just see things as black and white.
Yeah.
And, they're saying, okay, well, I need to be just in the masculine and she just needs to be in the feminine. Because she's not in the feminine, our relationship is in chaos. It's not working, it's functional, and they start to panic about the relationship. And she's panicking about the relationship. She's thinking, oh, gosh, sometimes I want to show up in a masculine way. And, my gripe is really with the masculine feminine message is that, it's got to be in such a framework where, especially with some polarity coaches, they're saying, it has to be this way in order to be functional. Now, I don't know about you, but if a woman was completely in her feminine, it will drive most men nuts, right? If she was just like, okay, whatever you want, she's not going to have that ability to bring that masculine to it. I think it'll just drive nuts because they'll be like, okay, I need you to, when I'm away or something, it's her using her reasoning, her logic, her masculine side to handle herself. The reason why I have this as a problem is because I think masculine and feminine is a great framework, but it's just one layer. One of the layers I always say is we've got to have the mature, immature layer as well. So, for example, where you're talking about the lighthouse, it's like, okay, well, with a mature woman, it's not about weathering the storm. It's about that open communication, because a lot of women get this message as well and thinking, oh, I am feminine, I'm the storm. He should be holding the frame. He should be setting all of this down. Because he's not doing that, he's not a functional man. He's not a man.
And again, that's because you're not seeing the full picture. There's the masculine, feminine, right, left, but then there's higher self, lower self, up and down. So if you're in lower self, lower feminine, or lower masculine, then you're not going to have polarity. But if you have two people or two, even within yourself, high level masculine, feminine energies that are doing the interplay, then you're going to have a deeper connection. So we're only seeing half the picture. Only half the picture is really sort of getting taught, I think, is what you're saying, which is true, which is like, okay, there's only masculine and feminine. And really so that's what is that? The vertical is the masculine, feminine. The horizontal is we've got higher self, lower self.
Yeah, that's
Can
the
you
thing.
describe, Chuck, what the lower feminine and lower masculine looks like?
Yeah. So I've got a whole video on my channel on the masculine, feminine polarity where I go through this chart, where the lower feminine are things like takes things personally, gets needy, acts passive aggressive, takes a victim stance. That's lower feminine. Lower masculine is dominant, aggressive, rageful, domineering, all of those kind of what we call sort of like the toxic sides of either of those. So if you have two people that are in lower, you got somebody that's a victim, and then you got somebody that's always dominating and rageful, then you're not going to have polarity. If you have somebody, so the higher feminine would be things like inviting, nurturing, aesthetics. Higher masculine would be things like leading, teaching, protecting, providing. So if you have those two, if you're in higher self, masculine, feminine energy, that's in between the two, again, as a state of flow. That's how the masculine, feminine energy works the best. It's in that higher state, masculine, feminine flow.
We should definitely see you using your right hand and your left hand.
You're using your right hand and your left hand. It's like a double your pleasure right there, right?
Yeah. And one of the things about masculine and feminine energy is that, we have both, or, in this framework, we have both. And I think when the red pill hijacked this and the relationship coaches and, feminine coach or the masculine coaches, they hijacked this, they gave a very, a very limited view of those energies. And the message came out and it started to really confuse people. And I remember even talking to a friend of mine, and she was talking about like, I'm so fed up about the messages about this, because I've got to always behave in such a way for the polarity to exist. And, when it comes to sexual attraction, I'm not now convinced about everything has to be in polarity, because when we look at a woman, the guys are physically stimulated by attraction, whether she's in her masculine or feminine. If she looks hot, she's hot. There's the attraction is there, right? So for the guy, the polarity doesn't need, I personally don't think it always needs to exist. But yes, I do love a woman when she's in her feminine. I enjoy that more. But I don't need to be sexually attracted to her to be in that state. What's your view on that?
Well, the feminine is about aesthetics. So if she's hot, you're responding to the aesthetics of her femininity. The masculine is all about doing, that would be like success. So if a man is really wealthy and powerful, she's going to be attracted to that. And if you don't believe that's true, look at Jeff Bezos' girlfriend. He didn't get her because he's a hot looking man. He got her because he's a powerful man. So with women are attracted to power, and which is the masculine, and men are attracted to feminine, which is the aesthetics and the beauty.
But if she's very successful, if she's very hot, if she's very successful but not hot, she's masculine.
I mean, if she's not attractive, if she's not attractive and she's super successful, are you going to be attracted to that? Probably not.
No, I'm not. Are you? Ari?
Yeah.
Does that sexually attract?
But
you?
if she's living in poverty and she's super hot, you're going to be like, okay, I will take that over the other, and it's just because we are attracted to the polarity.
What if we do find ourselves attracted to women who are kind of bossy?
That's mommy issues.
That is because you are operating from the place of your feminine, right? So the feminine is going to be attracted to the safety. Okay. So if I am a nice guy, and nice guys live in the higher, lower level of feminine energies. Nice guys are often attracted to women that are more bossy because they're attracted, because again, it's a reverse polarity.
So they're attracted to structure, and the bossy woman is telling him what to do because he's still a child. It's like,
Yeah.
is it Ari?
It's still polarity. It's just reverse polarity.
That's
It
what
is.
I'm saying. That's me.
Are you okay? Here's another one. Are you attracted to older women or your age or younger?
Younger.
I'm actually attracted to older women and women my age.
What about hot?
I like a bossy younger woman. I'm not sure that's a good thing either.
Well, what about bossy older woman?
No
Not
thanks.
bossy and doesn't matter.
Well, if she's hot, older, just a little bit older, does that work? Does that still create polarity for you or not?
If she's hot and bossy,
She's hot, older, and bossy for Ari.
okay, for her.
I mean, if she's hot and bossy, I'll take her. But I don't really like someone who I'm not looking for someone who will boss me around. But I like some of that attitude. It's more of just an attitude of like assertiveness and boldness.
Is it assertiveness, boldness, or is it just self-assured and knows who who they are and not
What about
gonna
diva?
take shit from people?
What if she's isn't she like sassy, boss babe?
Yeah, sassy boss babe. But yeah, a real diva, you don't want a real diva. That's too much work.
Here's the thing, guys, is that the primal part of us is always going to be attracted to the aesthetic, hot, beautiful from a masculine standpoint. The feminine is going to be attracted to the man that can provide, or the masculine that can provide the most stability and security. As your human brain is able to rationalize, and I think the older you get with more maturity, the more you've been down the path of like, okay, I've tried the hot girl that's, all over the place, and that wasn't sustainable. I think the more experience you get, the more you start to go into like the rational part of your brain as well as part of the equation. I see younger guys that are I just want to get laid. I just want to get laid by a hot woman, where I think men who are a little bit older oftentimes are like, I don't want a girl who doesn't know who she is. I want a woman who has had some life experience, knows who she is. And so I'm actually really attracted to the woman who is highly feminine, more mature.
What about
now?
Leonardo DiCaprio? He's 49. He's like dating 20-year-old girls.
Yeah. And he has zero connection with them, right? I mean, he's got one every month. So that's
a month full of connection.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like, it's all about, for him, it's all about sex, ego, what the girl looks like, right? But there's never any depth that goes on.
Well,
if there was, then there's no longevity, at least.
Okay, yeah, there's no longevity with that one. But when you ask what is it about the younger girl that's appealing, I would say a significant number of guys would say because it's her energy. Yeah, she looks hot, but as women age, and I know this is like women are going to go, fuck, this is not true. But as women age, they become more masculine. As the younger women are more feminine because they're more free. They're like, they don't really deeply connect with themselves. When women have gone through, especially through the mill, they're like, okay, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to look after myself. I know what I want. I'm going to get it. I've got more boundaries. I've got more standards. And also, the hormones change as well. So they are less I would say, in the feminine hormones where, that's why, they say the older women, they are able to have more one-night stands than the younger girls are because they're less, they have that less connection, less tolerance. So they're more in the masculine energy. So older guys prefer younger girls because they're more in the feminine. And also the guys are more self-assured. They're more masculine. They know themselves.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's really more of an issue of more balance. I mean, not that they're becoming more feminine or more masculine or more feminine, but that they're creating more of a balance within that. So if you haven't, because I think if you have an older, elegant, well-dressed, sexy woman who knows who she is, that's attractive to me. Whereas
So
if
that's
you
a
have,
woman, elegant, sexy woman, older, who's maintained her feminine energy, right? Really
yes,
connected to that.
and she might have more self-assured. She has more life experience. She
So
has
she has
more,
a
yeah. She knows what she wants, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the points I wanted to make through this podcast as well, is that a lot of the polarity coaches, red pill, and everything says it has to be like black and white. There is a lot in between because I want to what will create a better relationship between just not intimate relationship but all relationship is that we're able to bring both sides of the tools and know and how when to use them. So the real skill is knowing when to use the tool, like the woman
Right.
who knows when to use her masculine, when she needs to get shit done, get order, get structure, when she needs to have that done, but also when she knows that when I'm in the relationship, when I'm on a date or I'm on a date night, that I can just relax and then step into my feminine, connect to my feminine. And the guy also knows that, when I need, for example, being coaches, we need to step a lot in our feminine because we need to be able to connect, empathize, relate, and also then provide the structure as well. So there is a dark side if you just keep it all black and white and it should be just one way.
Right.
There's a lot of gray in this as well. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the Nice Guy Show. If you like this one, check out episode number 85. Lead, you spineless chicken. Lead. We just recorded this one. Again, it's about summoning masculine, feminine energy on that one. And remember, please comment, subscribe, and also, what do you think? Do you think that masculine, feminine energies are misguiding us? They're leading us, especially the red pill or the polarity coaches. What's your opinion? See you on the next one.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show with certified Nice Guy recovery coaches Ari Graf, Chuck Chapman, and Faisal Kokar. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can listen to our latest episodes and visit us on www.theniceguyshow.com. If you have any topics you'd like to hear us discuss, send us an email at support@theniceguyshow.com. Thanks for listening.